Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. These are our top 5 things to look for when we bought our farm. Item number 5, do you want to buy raw land or do you want to buy land with a house on it? Now there's pros and cons to both. Raw land is going to be much cheaper and probably a little bit easier to find. A place with a house on it already is going to cut down the headaches by like 1,000. Now one of the good things about buying raw land is that you get to build the house that you want. But keep in mind, if you want to finance raw land, most places require about 50% down, as opposed to a conventional loan to where you can put as little as 3.5%. And you have to realize that if you want to build your own house, it's going to take a lot longer for you to live on the land, and probably a lot more expensive than you anticipated. But if you buy a place with a nice house that's move-in ready, you're good to go. All you have to do is move your stuff in. And since we were moving here to Texas and coming from California, it had been extremely hard to buy a piece of property and oversee the construction, and we'd actually have to rent out another house, and it was just going to be a nightmare. So we just decided to get a place that was move-in ready. You know, we're out here in Texas and there's tornadoes every once in a while. The house that we bought is over 70 years old, so if we figured if it stood that long, then we should be okay. And I know a lot of people are going to be laughing at that thinking, and coming from California where we have earthquakes, they're really not a big deal until they happen. Alright, number 4, you have to decide if you want woods or pasture or a little bit of both. You know, with pasture, there's a lot more stuff that you can do with it and a lot easier to work in, work around, work through. In the woods, you can really only get into in the wintertime because everything is so up and it's almost impossible. For us, we wanted something as turnkey as possible, and we knew we wanted to get some cows right away. We have 30 acres here, and it's basically all pasture. Now there's some like woodsy areas, but for the most part, it's all pasture. The property next to us is basically all wood. So if we ever wanted to do something in the forest, like say run pigs, and that property became available, we could always purchase it. Now some of the benefits of having a bunch of forest is that it's usually a lot cheaper than pasture land or cropland. And depending on the size of the trees, they can be an immediate source of income. Now you can always turn the forest into pasture, but a bulldozer guy ain't cheap. And if you don't get one, then you have to deal with the stumps. Number 3, having a source of water on your property is huge. Why? Because then you don't have to pay for it from the city. Here on our 30 acres, we have 2 ponds and 3 wells. And since we're talking about water, you also have to take into consideration the water that comes from the sky. Here in East Texas, there's a ton of rain. Now if you go to West Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, even California, in a more arid climate, water's even more important. Why? Because they don't get that much of it. So what water they do have and what rain they do get, they have to be able to capture in some way. You also have to consider, how do you move this water? Now we have a well pump for one of the wells that has a few hydrants throughout the property. And what we're going to do in the very near future is install a ton of more water access points, so it's real easy to water all the animals. This is also nice if you want to fish. Alright, number 2. Number 2 is going to sound a little bit funny, but it's 2020, and the second most important thing to us about moving here is the internet. I mean, I can't tell you how important that is. And I'm not talking about Homestead because that doesn't count. When 99% of my business is done online, I have to have good, reliable internet all the time. You see, I've had Homestead, and all it makes me want to do is pull my hair out. Especially coming from the city where we had lightning fast internet, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. Don't want it. Might work for some people that never had internet that fast before, but I can't stand it. You see, where our house is, we got real lucky because on the other side of the highway, about 400 feet away, there's an internet substation there to where we get faster, comparable or faster speeds than we did when we were back in California, in LA and Orange County. So that was huge for us. Huge. And to throw in with number 2 is cell phone reception. Because there's some places where you just can't talk to people and you have to go get an old-fashioned, old-school landline, and you guys know all the benefits that a cell phone has. So before buying a place, call around and see what internet providers cover your area, because let me tell you something, it'll make the world of difference. If there would be a number 6, this would be it, and that's infrastructure. And until being here, I can't tell you how lucky we are to have these corrals, a barn, good fences, but we got outbuildings on outbuildings on outbuildings and different fenced off areas that have come in a lot of handy. There's multiple sheds by the house, a shop, nice garage. I mean, it's really, really, really come in handy. So that would be number 6 if there was a number 6. And number 1, the most important thing to look at when buying a farm or a homestead or whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing for every real estate transaction, by the way. Location, location, location. You see, here at our place, we found the perfect mix of city and country. Our town, with all of its amenities, is only a 5-minute drive away. We're right on the highway. All we have to do to get to town is go out our driveway and turn left, and that's it. So it makes runs to the store real easy. And then on your lazy days, you can just go to the restaurant right down the street. And we're even close enough to town to where they'll actually deliver. And for us, we hear the cars at night, we hear the trucks drive by, and on a few days a week, we even hear the train, which is something that we're used to because we've lived our entire lives in the city. So a little bit of noise is actually kind of soothing to us. And a real number 1 thing when you're looking to buy a farm, at least for me, is to make sure that Nicole likes it. So, that's it, folks. We'll see you on the next one. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.